in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need for the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Well, how about the story of someone who started out as a homeless single mother and became a multi-millionaire? Would that be interesting to you? Well, it is definitely of interest to me, so I want to welcome today's guest. Her name is Heather Burke. She went from messed up to blessed up, in her own words, and her story of going from a homeless single mother to a multimillionaire has helped many people increase their vision and success. Heather is a John Maxwell certified business coach and entrepreneur. She has a bachelor's degree in business and has taken her wealth of experience and shares breakthrough strategies with struggling business owners. So, Heather Burke, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you and your listeners today.
Oh, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your wisdom with us. That's quite an amazing tagline, from homeless single mother to a multimillionaire. How did you get started doing this? Tell us a little bit about your background and what's the story behind that?
Sure. Well, the story is a real process, a painful process that I've went through, but it's allowed me to really grow and be transformed in my character and help other people navigate through some of the things that I had to go through so they can avoid some pitfalls. And so really it started when all my life I was really bullied by other children and even the nuns at where I went to school. So I was dealing with that a lot. We moved around. When I was 15 years old, I joined a gang in Chicago because I thought that they would protect me. And that opened up a whole nother life to me, full of violence and drugs and hate and all kinds of horrible things. So I was in that group for roughly 10 years, just doing nothing with my life. But in that time, I met my husband. He was part of the gang. And I had a child very quickly. So
when you say when you say he is one of the gang, you mean it literally. Hey, my husband is one of the gang, right?
Yes, I met him in the gang.
Wow.
Yes,
yeah.
and yes, and so it was kind of a whirlwind romance. And he was very charming at first, but as soon as I became pregnant, he turned very controlling. So I'm sure some of your listeners can relate to that. And so it was a rough 2.5 years is how I lasted, about 2.5 years until we had a really bad confrontation and I had to run for my life. I had my 2-year-old daughter with me. So I ran from him. He was threatening to kill us. No one would take us in. My family was scared. So we went to a homeless shelter and we couldn't stay there because it was unsafe there as well. A 5-year-old boy was choking my daughter and no one did anything about it. So we lived in my car for a time until things calmed down and a family friend took us in. And then I was able to slowly start rebuilding my life. It was very hard, but I knew that I had to do better for my daughter because I was receiving no support and it was all on my shoulders. So I got a job at a call center. I started going back to school, and that's where I got my bachelor. So I was working full-time and going to school full-time while raising my daughter. So basically I had no life for about a couple years there, but it was so worth the sacrifice because it just opened up a world of opportunity to me. And that's what I really want to tell people about, is that no matter how low that you're taken, if you're homeless with nothing, that there's always hope. There's always a future. There's always a hope. And this happened to me in 2002, where I had nothing but the clothes on my back and a rickety old car that we stayed in. And in 2010, I had my own consulting firm and I was making millions of dollars in my 3rd bedroom. So
wow.
Anything can happen. It's possible. It really is possible. And me, as a person who always struggled with math, I was able to run a company and do math all the time. So nothing's impossible. I can't stress that enough, So, and sometimes we have to go to our lowest of our lows so that we can develop compassion for other people, so we can learn how to help and pull these other people out of the pit that we were once in.
Wow, that's really powerful. And it's really inspiring to hear your story and to see what's possible when you really focus, put your mind to it, and as you say, go from messed up to blessed up, which is really cool. So, you're a John Maxwell certified business coach and entrepreneur. And so you help people who are struggling, you say struggling business owners. Tell us a little bit more about what you do to help them create those breakthrough strategies.
Well, sure. So we start by looking at their overall business model, their profits, their overhead, their cash flow, and we really figure out which ways that we can incorporate other streams of revenue in their business. For an example, I met with a client for 15 minutes, and he was telling me about his challenges in business. Well, there's only a certain number of clients available to him in the line of business that he does, and he had kind of maxed out all of his opportunities. The ones that said no were firm in their no, and so he didn't know what other direction to turn because he had such a small niche. And so in seeing that, I took a look at opportunities, and I let him know that there was another opportunity within the same companies that he is selling to already in a different department that would allow him to double his revenue stream.
Wow.
And so it's things like that just come to me. Honestly, I think it's partially divine, these wisdom ideas that come to me for other people's businesses. And, that's, a lot of what I do is I'm just taking a look at things and where they're at and seeing where their struggle is. And then I get ideas and strategies for their business.
That's awesome. And that really sounds a lot like my mentor, Jay Abraham, which is basically what he does. He looks at an underperforming business or part of a business, and he figures out new and different ways of doing things. And maybe it's the product, maybe it's the process, maybe it's just the way that you approach people, or maybe it's joint ventures or some other combination that you haven't even considered, but you're able to go in and look at the situation and bring a completely different perspective that the guy or the gal who's struggling in that situation doesn't always see.
Right, because a lot of times we're so close to it that we just cannot see it. And it takes an outside objective opinion to really zero in on the main hindrance, I guess is a good word. What is hindering you? What are you struggling with, and overcome those obstacles, develop a strategy and a plan to overcome those obstacles. And in some cases, like my one client, all he had to go and do is circle around to his current clients in the different department. And, he was able to increase his revenue right there.
Very cool. So you work with so many different business owners that are struggling, creating these breakthrough strategies. What would you say is the most common problem that you see over and over again with the people that you're trying to help?
Yes, is they are spending too much time in their business and not enough time living their life.
Too much time in their business. That sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? It's like, well, if I don't pay more attention, things will get worse. You're saying it's probably the other way around.
Right. You want to be excited and passionate about your business. And the only way to do that is to be excited and passionate about your life. And so that translates into your business. If you're happy about life and you're living the life of your dreams, then you're going to be happy in your business. And really, no one needs to spend all of their time in their business. The key here is to delegate tasks that are, I wouldn't call them meaningless, but I would call them lower level tasks. Delegate those type of tasks so that you're not sitting there doing a job that's worth $10 an hour that you could hire someone else, and you're spending 8 hours a day doing this job. So the key is to delegate and to duplicate. So what I was able to do with my consulting firm is I started out as a consultant, and then I did that for about a year on my own with different projects. And then I had a client come to me and say, hey, we need 3 more people like you. And I just so happened to know 3 people that I worked with and I trusted, and I could put them under my umbrella, and I duplicated myself. And that's where the wealth is, in the duplication, because we are only one person. We can only do so much in a day. But if you have 100 people doing it and you're getting a piece of whatever they're making or bringing in, then there's your wealth.
Very cool. I like that. And again, the things you say trigger other connections for me. I keep remembering Michael Gerber talking about the difference between working in your business versus working on your business. So you're helping people to work on their business so they can spend less time working in the business. And that's really cool, because that is exactly what we're doing with Rebelpreneur Radio. It's showing people how to build the business they need so they can live the life they want. For me, and maybe this isn't true of everybody, but for me, a business, the purpose of the business is to give me more life. And that's another Michael Gerber quote. It's to help me live the life I want, but we have to design our business to give us that life. And if we don't intentionally design the business, it will do the opposite. It will take the life that we've got.
Right. And really, if you don't plan, then if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail.
That's it.
So you really need to have things set up and prepared for growth. I can say this because I've walked through all of this. I'm unprepared. And so now I can help other people avoid all the heartache I've been through with the lessons I've learned. And the other thing too is that I went through, once I started making all these millions of dollars, I just put it in the bank. I didn't know what to do with it. So, sometimes that's a good problem to have, right? So I got to the point where my CPA, who had been a CPA for 25 years, had, clients who had big restaurants, law firms. So he came to me and he said, Heather, I have to let you go. I can't be your CPA anymore. Your cash flow is too much. I don't know how to do your taxes anymore. And you need to go see Tom Wheelwright, who manages wealth and taxes for the wealthy. And I said, okay. So that opened up a whole new world for me with investments and tax filings, and really how the wealthy file their taxes and what they do with their finances to keep it growing, and different investments. So not only do I help people get to the point where they can create wealth through their business, but then I can hand them the resources that they'll need. So like attorneys that offer asset protection. So because you don't think about these things, when you're making a lot of money, then you become a target. And so any little thing, someone can sue you. You have to protect your assets. So you have to form asset protection. You have to have the right attorney, the right CPA. So all these resources I have ready for my clients when they get to the point where they have increased wealth.
Very cool. And it's interesting because a lot of people who don't have wealth make the assumption that, if I had more money, all of my problems would be solved. But what happens is money doesn't solve your problems. Money actually gives you a different kind of problem. So in the beginning, you're trying to make it. And now that you've got it, you're trying to protect it and help it to grow and not lose it. And so, you only realize that when you get to that point. And so it pays to think about these things in advance. And how is that going to change your business and the way that you approach your life? So, very cool. Now, you say that the problem with a lot of people is they spend too much time in their business, or another way of saying it is they're too close to their business, or they are micromanagers. So what can someone do right now listening to this and they say, yep, I resonate with that? How can they make some changes right now to see some immediate improvement in this and kind of get out of this mindset of spending so much time in their business so that the business imprisons them instead of sets them free?
Yes. Yes. And so I had a hard time delegating myself. I had to hold on to everything tightly and control everything, because what if somebody messes something up? That was my mindset. So eventually I got spread so thin that I had to hire people. So what I would advise someone to do immediately is look at your time and see your time is valued at $10,000 an hour. That's what your time is valued at. Now, look at all the tasks in your business that are maybe minimum wage, whatever your tasks are that you're doing that are far below that pay rate, and put them on a list on a piece of paper. On one side, put all those tasks that you're doing that are low end pay, that you could hire someone else for. On the other side, put the tasks on there that you just absolutely have to hold on to. Like for myself in my business, I decided I absolutely have to hold on to the sales and closing the deals in my consulting business and the invoicing. And those are the only two things I do right now. So when I hire, I have someone already in place to help me with hiring, help me running the projects, all of that. So I'm not hung up on all these conference calls throughout the week. So I can live a life of my dreams and I can still make money. So right now, immediately, they can make that list. They can, on the right side, all those tasks that are $10 an hour tasks that you're doing that are sucking up your whole day. And then on the left, the tasks that you just absolutely have to hold on to. And then you make the decision and you decide to start looking at how to delegate and hire other people to do those lesser tasks.
That makes a lot of sense on paper. Why is it so hard for people to do that?
Well, it's the control, because you feel like this is your baby. This is your business. You built it. You gave birth to it. This is your baby. This is your brand. And there's a lot of unethical people out there, unfortunately. So we're protective of that, and we don't want to give up control so easily. So the other thing I help my clients with is the hiring process. For instance, we don't want to really be focused on someone's resume and their skill set that we overlook their character. Character should come first. Character and commitment to your company is what you should be looking for in that person. If you see that they are all about your brand, they love what you're doing, and it's authentic. I mean, people can, say anything, but if you can see that it's authentic, they can be taught. So that's what you should look for, character over the skill set in the first place when you're hiring someone. And so I walk people through the hiring process, which I've had a lot of success with myself.
Excellent. So I think you just answered that question. The next question that came to mind is how would working with a professional like you really improve people's chances for success, as opposed to trying to figure all this out on their own? I mean, they may know their business, but they may not necessarily know how to take their business to the next dimension of success.
Yes. I really think everyone who owns a business should have a coach. I have 2 business coaches, and I have just benefited so much from them, and my business has accelerated just by working with them, because they see it from a bird's eye view. So they can look in and see things and take the emotion out of it. And they have structured programs. So what I offer are modules. So every week we have a new session that we work on, a new goal that we set, a new assignment that I give them. I have people reading different books, doing different assignments. So, there's a lot of commitment when, you sign up with coaching for me, because I literally want to work with you to transform your business into the best that it can be. And that takes effort. So there's, part we both play in this. So, that's how I'm helping people. And we go week by week. And usually it's about 6 months commitment or a year commitment. And I've just seen so much transformation in businesses, even in just 3 months, with the communication of the employees, where the employees that might have been slacking or non-communicative or not showing up on time, where their whole perspective changes and they become committed to your company, and then they're there and they're doing their best. Wow. And your employees is really what makes your business.
Very cool. I mean, that is so needed. And man, I can think of a lot of small business owners, well, even larger business owners that are struggling with that. And they probably don't even know that there's an option out there for someone to give them that coach's perspective and the bird's eye view of things. And, just because you started a business doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to hire and motivate and retain quality people. So it makes sense to bring someone in like you to help them with that and with other areas in their business. You don't necessarily, just because you run a business, it doesn't mean that you know everything about everything. And often you don't know what you don't know, right? Right.
And really, it's better to have a team, and two people are better than one. So if you're just spinning your wheels like I did, all alone in my office, trying to figure this out, do every task, create my website, do my marketing, do my taxes, do everything, I had adrenal exhaustion from doing all that. So I had to learn the hard way. And it really forced me to start delegating and hiring and duplicating and writing out the processes and procedures so I can pass this on. The other thing, if you're looking to pass on your business, to maybe your children, you want to have the P&Ps, you want to have the policies, processes, everything written down. You want to have the systems in place so you can hand that over when the time comes. Or God forbid, there's an emergency and something happens to you and someone else has to take over for your business.
Yeah, I think for most people, they would be out of business if that happened.
Right. So many people are just winging it. They're just winging it.
Yeah.
And they're reactive instead of proactive. So once we switch to being proactive and planning things out and strategizing for things to come, then it's a much easier, stress-free life.
Excellent. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited?
Well, really, I'm working with a recovery center on the west side of Chicago. It's called Above and Beyond Recovery Center. And, due to my story, I really have a heart for people who are addicted. And this program is just doing amazing things for people who are addicted to opioids. And they have over 2,000 clients, and I'm volunteering there a few times a month, and just supporting people, doing everything from helping. Let's see, the last thing I did was I helped an older homeless man set up an email account and email his daughter.
Wow.
A simple task for me, but this was like he just invented the light bulb.
Wow.
He felt so accomplished. And that's what brings me joy, is that I can give back to people that have no hope, that are just cast to the side by society. And I can come in and I can love on them and encourage them and help build them up. And that's what I'm really enjoying right now.
That is so awesome. What a simple gesture, but what a powerful thing that is, to be able to help that homeless person send an email to his daughter. I mean, who would have thought? It's not this great big thing all the time. Sometimes it's a very simple gesture that makes a big difference. This is really awesome, Heather, and I appreciate your time sharing with us today. How can our listeners get in touch with you to find out more about your products and services?
Sure. So the best way to contact me would be to email me, and that would be at heather@themillionairebusinesscoach.com. I know it's a long address, but again, Heather.
Like they say, long address, but powerful results, right?
Yes. And I encourage you to take a look at my website, The Millionaire Business Coach, and connect with me there. I also have a private Facebook group called Hang Out with Heather that you can join, and I'm giving free business and tips and wisdom and strategies on there for everyone who's just kind of starting a business or doesn't have the funds to really commit to coaching right now, but they can still get some really valuable information there. I'll be doing Facebook Live. So that's Hang Out with Heather on Facebook group. And my email is heather@themillionairebusinesscoach.com.
Very cool. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share as we wrap things up?
Yes. My favorite quote, Ralph, is the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And that's from Gandhi.
Love it. Great quote and great philosophy. I've been speaking with Heather Burke. She is a John Maxwell certified business coach and entrepreneur. And you can find out more about her on our website, themillionairebusinesscoach.com. Heather, it's been a real pleasure to have you on Rebelpreneur Radio today. Thanks so much for your time and for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Ralph. And I just thank all the listeners, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at ralphbrogden.com.